They named her Ava, my daughter. But I didn't choose that name. I didn't get to hold her first. I didn't even get to see her eyes open for the first time. Because when she was born, I was dying. I slipped into a coma after the emergency C-section. And while I was fighting to stay alive, someone else was claiming my life. When I woke up, 3 months later, the woman holding my baby in the family photo wasn't me. It was my best friend, wearing my wedding ring, living in my house, calling my husband hers. The moment I saw that frame on the mantel, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The thing is, coma isn't like sleep. It's emptier. Time doesn't pass like it does when you're dreaming. There's just a space, a silence. You're not there, and yet you are. Somewhere in the background of the world you thought you belonged to. When I finally opened my eyes, blinking against the fluorescent lights of the ICU, I didn't know what month it was. I didn't even remember falling. The last thing I recalled was a Thursday night. Rain hammering against the windows. I was 7 months pregnant. Jason had called to say he was working late. With Sarah. Again. I didn't think anything of it. I should have. But back then I still believed in them. In him. In her. She was my best friend since college. My maid of honor. My confidant. The one person I thought would never hurt me. I remember I had a craving for mint chocolate chip ice cream that night. I got up too fast. The room spun. My fingers slipped on the fridge handle. And then nothing. They told me I collapsed from a placental abruption. The baby was in distress. I nearly bled out on the kitchen floor. They rushed me into surgery, delivered the baby early. A girl. Healthy, beautiful. And while I lay unconscious in a hospital bed for weeks, they stepped into my absence like it was an open door. When I finally came to, Sarah was the first person I saw. She was holding my hand. Smiling. Too calm. Like she'd been practicing that exact moment for weeks. "You're awake," she said, voice trembling with practiced relief. "We were so scared. We." She kept saying we. I didn't understand at first. I assumed Jason would come running in any second. But he didn't. "Where's my baby?" I whispered. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else. "Is she okay?" Sarah nodded. "She's perfect. Jason's with her right now. He didn't want to leave her alone." She paused. "We named her Ava." I blinked. "What?" "Ava," she said again like it was a normal thing. Like it didn't belong to me. It felt right. I wanted to scream. But my body still felt foreign. My chest was wrapped in bandages. My legs trembled with even the thought of moving. They kept me in the hospital for 3 more days. Jason never came. Sarah did everything. Brought me clothes. Talked to the nurses. Smiled too much. I asked her once why she was wearing my necklace. The tiny locket Jason gave me on our first anniversary. She acted surprised. "Oh, I found it in the guest room. Must have been yours." I just put it on. I went home with her. Not because I trusted her. Because I had no one else. My mother died 2 years ago. My sister lives abroad. My husband, well, I didn't even know what to call him anymore. When we pulled into the driveway, everything looked the same. Until we stepped inside. The nursery walls were yellow now. Not lavender like I painted them. The name Ava was printed in big wooden letters above the crib. There were photos on every wall. Of Jason holding the baby. Of Sarah holding the baby. Of them together. There wasn't a single photo of me. Something shattered inside me that day. Not like a plate hitting the floor. More like a hairline fracture across my soul. The kind that deepens every time someone smiles like they didn't ruin you. Sarah showed me around like it was her house. She pointed to the baby monitor. Explained Ava's feeding schedule. Told me what formula they were using now. As if I hadn't spent months researching every single detail before the birth. Jason came home that night. He didn't hug me. He barely looked at me. "I'm glad you're okay," he said flatly. That was it. No emotion. No tears. Just guilt sitting heavy behind his eyes. I asked him if we could talk. He said later. But later never came. 5 days passed. I watched them like a stranger. Sarah kissing Jason on the cheek. Jason holding the baby and calling Sarah babe. I was a ghost in my own home. I finally asked Jason the question that burned my throat. "Are you and Sarah together?" He didn't deny it. She was there for me when you couldn't be, he said. We didn't plan it. It just happened. She's my best friend, I whispered. Was, he corrected. I stood in the hallway shaking. My body still healing, my heart breaking all over again. She took my baby, I said. Jason shrugged. She raised her when you weren't able to. That night I sat in the nursery. The mobile spun above me. Ava, no, Lila, was asleep in the crib. I rocked in the chair Jason never once used. My fists clenched so tight my nails drew blood. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. Because while I had been asleep they had built a fantasy. But fantasies are fragile. And I was about to bring it all crashing down. First I saw a lawyer. Quietly. I asked about my rights. My name was still on the birth certificate. Jason had never signed anything official. Sarah had no legal claim to my child. The hospital confirmed everything. The nurses testified that I had named her Lila before the coma. That I had asked for Jason. That I never approved anything about Sarah. Next, I documented everything. Photos. Messages. The way they referred to Ava in public. The fact that Sarah had forged my signature on a daycare registration form. She didn't even try to change her handwriting. And then I waited. I waited until Ava's first laugh. Until her eyes opened and saw me. Until she reached for my finger one morning and didn't cry when I held her. That's when I knew. I served Jason the custody papers 2 weeks later. He was stunned. You're serious? He asked. I nodded. Dead serious. Sarah came to my room in tears. Please, Marley. Don't do this. You're tearing her away from the only family she knows. I looked her dead in the eye. Funny. That's exactly what you did to me. The courtroom was packed. Jason's lawyer tried to paint me as unstable. That I hadn't bonded with the baby. That I had no support. But I had evidence. Medical files. Witnesses. And truth. The judge saw through the lies. After 3 hearings he granted me full custody. Sarah wasn't even allowed visitation. She broke down in the hallway. Jason didn't fight it. He looked at me like he finally realized what he'd done. But it was too late. I sold the house. It was in my name. I took Ava Lila and moved to another state. Changed our names. Started over. I never spoke to them again. I heard through a mutual friend that Sarah spiraled. She lost her job. Her apartment. Jason left her a month later. Cheated on her with someone even younger. Karma works fast sometimes. I kept every photo of Lila's first months. Even the ones with Sarah in them. One day I'll show her. I'll tell her the truth. Because she deserves to know the kind of strength she came from. And Jason? He sends letters. Birthday cards. I never open them. Not out of hate. Out of healing. Because I'm no longer that broken woman in the nursery rocking herself to sleep. I'm a mother. And mothers, real mothers, rise from the ashes. Even if it takes a coma to wake us up.